Courageous Doctors is a newscast about healthcare topics of concern to everyone. From health and safety tips to recall notices and medical news. Here's your host, Dr. Barry Prystowsky.
Hello, and welcome to Courageous Doctors, your new show for you and your doctor. As always, we'll cover the latest on COVID news. We'll cover government regulations and Obamacare, and then look at other interesting healthcare news, and finally end with health and safety tips. So let's begin with the latest on COVID. As usual, the death rate has continued to be the same, anywhere from 8 to 20 people a day dying. It's been that way the last 2 years. However, fortunately, the contagious rate is under R0.1. It's under 1, so it's not as contagious, and the hospitalization rate is very low. So I don't think we're going to go back to the old restrictions we had. The New York Times, this is good news, said that the COVID vaccine has been approved for less than 5 years old. I know in my office, we've already put an order in so the kids can begin getting their COVID shots. And the New York Times also said that the booster vaccine was approved for the 5 to 11-year-olds, and we've already started giving those. Associated Press said that the FDA is still limiting the J&J shot to those who can't get other shots, because remember that condition, they call it thrombosis, thrombocytopenia syndrome. Basically, it's kind of you're clotting and bleeding out at the same time. Really scary stuff. I know a doctor that died of that. Not too much fun. Let's see. Lastly, on the COVID issue, National Geographic had an interesting thing. They looked at a lot of hospital studies and showed that the COVID, as we know, I can attest to that myself, it lingers for a long time, and a lot of us, even after symptoms resolve, even though in most of us it clears from the body in 10 days, you can't get these lingering symptoms. In fact, they said 23 million people in the U.S. have long COVID syndrome. Okay, let's move on to government regs and Obamacare. This is very brief. The president is extending the public health emergency till mid-July. Of course, this is important because without that, there are a lot of people that would lose their health care that are only on it because of the emergency. New York Times, the FDA has banned menthol cigarettes and cigars. And CBS News, the president signs a law banning crib bumpers and inclined sleepers. So you cannot manufacture or sell a crib bumper for a baby or an inclined sleeper. Wow, that's huge. Okay, let's move on to other healthcare news. As always, I start with recalls. And remember, my disclaimer is that this new show may be coming on late after a lot of these products are already safe to use. So I'm going to mention the ones that I read in the paper, but please ask your distributor or grocer if the food is now safe, which it may already be in the areas you're at. Okay, let's see. Irvington Seafood had listeria. If anybody has Irvington Seafood, again, it may not be anymore. Just please check. Fox Business said that Urban Remedy had strawberries that had hepatitis A, and I have a late report here from Fox Business that 13 were hospitalized with Hep A just out today, and it's tied to these strawberries, and they're also looking at fresh Campo and HEB imported from Baja, California, Mexico, sold in HEB, Kroger, Safeway, Sprouts, Farmers Market, Trader Joe's, Walmart, Weis Markets, and Winco Foods. So basically, any organic strawberries that you're eating, just please double check with your grocer if they're one of the ones recalled for hepatitis. Very, very bad. Okay, let's see. CBS News said that in 9 states, We had a cheese problem with listeria. It looks like was sold in Fairwar, Price Choppers, and Super Save at whenever these dates were. And Paris Brothers Specialty, I think, was the name on the cheese. And I believe it was cheddar, brie, and jack. So just check with your grocer if your cheese was one of the ones poisoned, that's all. New York Times, Bright Farms, hydroponic produce, where you grow the vegetables inside, hanging from a ceiling and spray them. Apparently, the FDA said there was salmonella. So even though it's grown inside and not in the ground, somehow it got contaminated with salmonella. I'm not sure how. Strauss Israel had recalled kosher candy that was back a month or two ago. That's probably safe now. Just double check. Brookshire Yellow Fresh Peaches, the FDA said had listeria. So fresh peaches with listeria, double check that. Canadian below zero frozen raspberries have norovirus. Norovirus is that really bad diarrhea. I know we always talk about salmonella, E. coli, listeria. They're horrible. Norovirus is a much more common virus. That's the very bad diarrhea. It'll wipe out a whole household. That's the one you get on cruise ships that wipes out a whole ship. Very contagious, horrible diarrhea. And they found it in raspberries in Canada. So, we're still having trouble with the Jif peanuts. Fox reports. I've been seeing this daily still. There's still trouble. The salmonella in some of the Jif peanut butters. And what's this? F&S protein power snacks. Toharka Brothers Buttercup ice cream. So just check whatever peanut product you're buying if it's tied to this. And they actually had some numbers. They said, so there's a range here between 1274425 all the way up to 2140425. So anything between a 12 and a 21 with a lot of numbers behind it, just check any of these Jif peanut butter products. You don't want to get salmonella. Lastly, Thomas Miller. It's a New York dairy farm. The raw milk had listeria and Hawthorne milk too. People, don't drink raw milk. I mean, please. Pasteurized only. All right. Let's move on. CNBC. This viral hepatitis going around, caused by the adenovirus. Adenovirus is a really bad one. I'm seeing a lot of adenovirus flu now. So I'm waiting to see if any of these kids turns yellow and has hepatitis with a tender liver. It's really scary. Adenovirus gives a very bad flu, just like influenza. Gives a horrible, horrible pneumonia, necrotizing pneumonia, croup, and now it can cause liver. And, 5 kids have died from this, and we've had liver transplants. There's been 109 children in over 12 states. So adenovirus is here. It's always been bad. I've had it myself. It's horrible flu, high fevers, just terrible. And, we're watching with bated breath, keeping our fingers crossed that we don't get hepatitis because these kids are in trouble. Let's see, New Jersey Department of Health. Just is reminding us that RSV is here too. I just had a kid today. Very bad pneumonia, RSV, and adenovirus. Double whammy. We're still seeing flu. I'm still giving out Tamiflu. Of course, we're still seeing COVID. For those 12 and older, I'm giving out Paxlovid. It's still a mess out there. Oh, this is interesting. Reuters reminds us on the monkeypox. It looks like smallpox, just horrible blisters. I don't know if you guys remember blistering infections. If you've ever had chickenpox, it's even worse than that. You just get these itchy, horrible blisters all over your body, and you get really, really sick. The smallpox vaccine company, Jynneos, Jynneos, is releasing the vaccine to the government. So we'll see if we all start getting the old smallpox vaccine again. Let's see, independent news. We just mentioned norovirus, right? The virus contaminating those raspberries. Norovirus is on the increase in nursery schools and childcare. I'm seeing it. These are horrible diarrheas, and they last forever, and they're just terrible. USA Today wants us to remember that sexually transmitted diseases are there. Please remember, if you're sexually active, come in, ask me or your doctor in the office. Get your chlamydia and gonorrhea test. It's just a urine test. And be careful and protect yourself. Lastly, CBS News reminds us that these tick diseases can be deadly. The Powassan virus spread by similar ticks that spread Lyme disease. A woman died 2 weeks after getting a tick bite. So don't take these things for granted.
Don't go away, there's more courageous doctors after these messages.
Hi, I'm Ingrid Burke.
And I'm Gina Unger.
Gina has known Dr. Berry in a professional and personal capacity for many years, and we are thrilled to be in his building. We are psychotherapists, and we offer mental health counseling for ages 12 and up. We do individual, couples, and family counseling. We're also excited to say that we have groups that we have for teenage boys and girls, for social skills, anger management, and self-esteem building. If you need to reach us,
check us out at lifeworksnj.com.
Our phone numbers are also listed on that website if you'd like to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wax Den is a full-body unisex studio. We specialize in hard wax, which is gentler on the skin. We do all types of waxing from head to toe. You can come in with your friends, so you have the moral support. We have hors d'oeuvres. You do have to have a minimum of 8 people for that party, and you would schedule that. Everybody's looking for a hand to hold and then someone to share the experience with, so you can look that up on our website. We have prenatal waxing. We take a little bit more time with the new moms, and a lot of people will schedule that once they hit their second trimester. We do have a waxing membership. It's set up just like a gym membership, and you come in just like you would go to the gym. It comes out automatically, and you just show up for your wax. We have several memberships for different services. We also have wax packages. The phone number is 973-542-8442. The website is www.thewaxden.com. We have 24-hour online booking.
Come to the Wax Den. We wax it all.
Courageous Doctors continues with Dr. Barry Prystowsky.
All right, let's move on to the last part. This is a little more extensive. It's health and safety tips. Usually that's the shortest part of the talk, but I think that's going to be the longest part, but a lot of things to discuss. So let's start. It's summer, you guys. Insect repellents. This was a nice review by the HGTV editors. They looked at the Academy of Pediatrics, the CDC, the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, if you're over 2 months old, under 2 months old, you just have to be careful and watch your baby. Over 2 months old, you can use the DEET. Now, this you may not remember. The DEET, the DEET, they suggest between 10 and 30%. So just remember, 10 to 30%. Remember to spray in an open area. You don't want to breathe it in. Don't put it on the child's face or hands. And when the child comes in from outside, remember to wash them off with soap and water. If they have sensitive skin, just spray their clothes. Long sleeves, pants, wear a sun hat. Do what you can to keep the bugs off you. Alternatives are picaridin and essential oils like soybean, citronella, and cedar oil. The editors reminded us from all the studies they looked at that it's really the DEET that protects you against, the tick diseases like Lyme disease. But these others will all prevent mosquito bites and things. And lastly, don't forget there's permethrin, like we use in Rid and Nix when you have lice and all. Permethrin will also get rid of these bugs. If you can do permethrin-treated clothes, like I know people that have permethrin-treated, like fixtures on their house or clothes, and that's another thing. Okay, let's see. Moving on, CNN. You've all probably been following this. We've reported this many times. For years and years, I was taking a baby aspirin, 81 milligrams, so I won't get a stroke or a heart attack. But they're saying now if you're over 60, I'm over 60, not to do it. And even if you're 40 to 59, only if you have a 10% risk of heart disease. So they're going against that aspirin that we always took every day. Associated Press, the CDC. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't realize this. 4.9% of all the poisonings reported are for melatonin in children. Now, a lot of us tell our kids to take melatonin if they have trouble falling asleep at night. I'm sure it's fine in the usual doses, but apparently they took too much. So just be careful with melatonin. Fox says that the Acme United Corporation is recalling non-resistant child care packaging on their aspirin, ibuprofen, and other over-the-counter drugs. Okay, I didn't know that. Acme United, make sure that your drugs, when you bring them home, have resistant caps. Independent said looked at the FDA. Apparently there was some TikTok thing about submerging your avocado in water and then putting it in a jar with water in the fridge for 3 weeks. And they said that if there's any salmonella or listeria on the outside of the avocado, it will then grow and contaminate in the water and poison you when you try to eat it. So probably not a good idea. CNN said that they looked at bonefish in Florida and found all kinds of pharmaceutical drugs, I believe antihypertensives and all sort of stuff. So, and the groups looking at this were the Florida International University and the Bonefish and Tarpon Trust. So apparently all up and down the Atlantic coast, the fish we're eating can have drugs in them. So, I mean, they still say it's safe and fish are good for you. Just know you're eating some drugs with your fish. Let's see. Oh, this is scary. Giant hogweed. I don't know if I've ever seen it, but it's here. It's 14 feet tall. It has these umbrella grouped white flowers that look like an umbrella. It's very toxic to the touch. Its stem is toxic. It'll give like much worse than a poison ivy, and it'll burn you terribly in the sun. So be careful about that. You may want to just download a picture of it, giant hogweed. Let's see, medical press said it in Denmark at the University of Otago. This is interesting. They looked at how much vitamin C. Most of us, they say, for under 60 kilograms, like that's 130 pounds or so, you probably could get enough vitamin C just in your diet. But if you're heavier, you need more vitamin C, but not that much more. Like if you're 90 kilos, getting close to 200 pounds, you want to just take an extra 30 milligrams of vitamin C. I mean, each of my vitamin C tablets are 500 milligrams, so I guess just take one tablet. And if you're 120 kilos, take an extra 40 milligrams. That's really small. I take 1,500 milligrams of vitamin C every day. I get those chewable 500 milligrams. There are kitty vitamin Cs that are 50 milligram chewables. So it's an interesting study in Denmark, but probably doesn't, probably you're getting the vitamin C and just take extra pill. I take one anyway. Medical press, they looked at the Pediatrics Journal. It was a University of Health in Toronto study, Dr. McGuire, and they were comparing children on vegetarian diets and meat diets. And the kids were pretty much growing the same and had good nutrition. They looked at 6-month-olds to 8-year-olds. They looked at iron, vitamin D, cholesterol, and BMIs. They were all good. They said the problem is some of the vegetarian kids were really much too thin, so you just have to watch it. But basically, they were both very healthy. Okay, let's see. Healthy Eat Home. Oh, Dana Angelo White. She does a lot of really wonderful articles. I'd like to follow her for nutrition. This case, she wrote it with Toby Amador. She compares sweet potato and white potato, and they're really similar, you guys. I know everybody talks about eat sweet potato, don't eat white stuff, white pasta, white potato. The fact is we're finding that if you're careful and you supplement with healthy stuff, and in this case, the potatoes themselves are really equal. Like they have similar calories, similar carbs, similar protein, similar fibers, similar vitamin and mineral. So really it doesn't matter. I think I'd be more concerned about processed foods, like if you were eating white processed bread, that sort of thing. But I think potato is good no matter what color. I know when we say avoid the whites and eat the browns and granular and multi-grain stuff and all. Of course, that's true. But I think in the case of potato, Dana is really telling us they're really, even the white potatoes, just as good. Let's see. This was an article that said, a lot of us are worried about, the plastics and all, and, the ban on plastics in the stores. Like wherever I go, I either bring my own bag or they give me a paper bag. They said, try just using, if you're drinking water, a stainless steel, a good stainless steel. I have a nice stainless steel thermos. I've had it for years. They're great. This is interesting though. They said, look at the bottom if it has lead soldering dots, cause those can leak lead. But if it's a plain stainless steel with, no lead soldering dots, they said that's better than the plastic. And this is interesting. I didn't know this. They said it's called 18/8, 18% chromium, 8% nickel, or a grade 304. So that's interesting. I honestly didn't know that. And Dana, Angela White, actually commented on this, that it's safe to cook in aluminum foil and to use aluminum pots. She looked at CDC material on this. I remember a lot of us were worried about aluminum poisoning, poisoning the kidney. But apparently Dana quoted that the aluminum that may wear off from the aluminum foil or pots onto your food goes right through your gut and you pass it out. And remember, we use aluminum anyway in different kind of drugs we take. There's aluminum in many of our vaccines, and it's perfectly safe. And so aluminum is common and it's safe if you're careful. Oh, this was fun. Potato flakes, just like cornstarch and baking powder. If you're on a gluten-free diet like I am and you need to thicken up some of your sauces, they said potato flakes actually doesn't disturb the flavor as much as cornstarch and baking powder. So that was nice to know. And lastly, I'll end with this from Real Simple, that we all pretty much know this. We've talked about it a lot. And if you look at people that will tell you stories coming from the old country like Italy, they frequently used olive oil. A lot of my patients, especially Italian descent, will tell me they use olive oil for everything. So olive oil is a good moisturizer for the skin, and it's good after you get sunburn. You can put olive oil on, but don't put it on when you go out in the sun because it can actually cause sunburn. Okay, it's a pleasure being with you guys again. As always, I welcome your input. I wish you a happy, healthy summer, and looking forward to meeting with you again. Take care now.
Courageous doctors, pioneers and heroes. Executive producers Barry S. Prystowsky, MD. And Patrick M. Marucki. Post-production Patrick M. Marucki. Makeup by Lisa McAllister, Salon Jimmy Gerards. Music provided by Video Blocks. Special thanks to American Medical Association and New England Journal of Medicine. Visit us on the internet at courageousdoctors.com.